So Yud Ches Amud Aleph Tashma Marchikin es Zeroyim v'es Marchisha v'es Meraglayim and a Koita Shlosh Tefachim. So again, we will have this in the Mishnah. The Mishnah continues. So again, Mina Koitel, we have to be Marchim Mina Koitel. Time Adika Koitel, Haleka Koitel Samach. So again, all these are going to be Kashas on Rava. Lo, no, because when there's no Koitel Oisa, also you don't have to be Soimech. Lo samach. So that's the shita of Rabbi. Ela mai kamashmalan. So that's the point of saying mikoisel. Ha kamashmalan de matunutna kasha la koisel, because that the water is kasha is bad for koitel. Tashma. Eserachaim gimel min shaychev v'shehen dal min araychev time edika koisel. So you have to remove from the koisel. So again, this is all in the Mishnah. That because that's because haleka koisel samech lo. Kilecha koselami lo samech ve'ela mai kamashmalan hakamashmalan deteria kasha lekoisel. Deteria is the vibrations, good vibrations. So Tosfos deteria kasha lekoisel. Afagav lekaman hadar bei mitayim deteria. So Tosfos' kash is, why does the Gemara here say that the vibrations are bad for the koisel? The Gemara later on, Chofam Beis, is hadar bei. It says no. It's not Mefarsh Ele Mishum Kala, that it's the noise. The noise is the problem. So why here we're saying is it's the vibrations. It's because originally they wanted it to be, that was the original reason why we said it, because we rejected there. Now here the Sefarim, the law Garsi Ele. So when it says Halter Bei Mitaima and says Ela Mishum Kala, so the Sfarim that don't garsi ella, so it's called as well as the vibrations. Therefore, the vibrations here is atishap here. Haka delahi the girsa tyra v'kala chad tamahi. So according to that girsa that doesn't have the ella, it's all one reason: the vibrations and the call. So next, tashma v'tatanor shalosh mina. This is all from the Mishnah. Time at the Ika Koisel. Haleka Koisel Samech Lo Kileka Koisel Nami Lo Samech Ela Mai Kamashmalan Hakamashmalan De Hevla Kasha La Koisel. That is the Hevel, the heat, is Kasha for the Koisel. So all these things are bad for the Koisel. That's what the Mishnah is teaching us according to Rav, according to Abaye. We're saying, yeah, because there's something there that's forcing you to be marchik. Tashema lo yifach adam chanot shel nachtoimim v'shel tzavoim tachas ortzos shel chavero. So this is a mission further on. We haven't seen this Mishnah yet, so you can't open up a bakery. So basically, a chanot shel nachtoimim is a shop of bakers, like a bakery, and of a dyers under an oitzer of your friend, and not a refus bakar, a shed, a cow shed. So you can't open those under an oitzer. So tamadeka oitzer. But if there's no oitzer, then you can't do. You can make it. So you can be soimech this hezek. These things are all hezek to an oitzer. So even though there's no oitzer there, so therefore you still can't. So when there's no oitzer there, you're allowed to do it. And since you're allowed to do it, so therefore we see that it's you can be soimech. Now here the answer is, again, this is according to Rava, dira shiny. So again, we started off with Rav and Abaye are quite far away. Rav says lo yismoch and Abaye says yismoch. But now all these cases, now here Rav is saying dira shiny, meaning that if it's a case of dira, where there's no din of harchaka according to Rava, so you're allowed to be soimech if it's a dira. Let's see the Tosfos. Perish a contras. Why can't you open the chanos of the bakery? Because of the smoke. Is kasha to the oitzer. So whatever you're storing, the smoke is going to come and ruin your storehouse. But kasha l'rabbeinu tam. Because later on we say that in yayin they mattered it. You're allowed, if it's your oitzer of wine, you are allowed to open up. You're allowed to have this bakery under the oitzer of yayin. Shemach bishu. So it's mashbiach, the wine. Va'ashun v'adai mazik leyayin, and the smoke for sure damages the yayin. the hayayin mushan postul le nesachim. So Tosfos' proof is that the smoke is bad because smoky wine is possible for the nesachim. According to Rambam says that you should use wine for kiddush that you can bring on the mizbeach. So according to the Rambam, then you can't use smoky wine for kiddush either. So therefore, we're saying that this is bad for the wine. So he does saying that the heat. We're saying that because the machlokes there is the heat that's bad, or is it the smoke that's bad? But either way, I mean, heat is bad for wine. I mean, I sent a bottle of wine to somebody in California, and he was saying that the FedEx package was left out in the sun for too long. So he's a bit of a sommelier, but heat is also bad for wine. So why? Oh yeah, well, smoke is bad for wine. Well, heat's also bad for wine. So Elanir Rabbeinu Tam de Hezegoshan Leka. There is no smoke here. Kevin deika sham tikru mazeva. So since there's a ceiling in between, even though that the bakery is creating smoke, the smoke is not getting into the oitzer because you have a ceiling there and a floor, so that stops it all. So lo yichanas sham ha'ashan ela taima shahahevel mazik et ha'oitzer. So like if you have a very hot room and then you have a wall, the heat still penetrates to the other side, but the smoke doesn't. Says aval et hayayin mashpiach, so that the heat is mashpiach the wine, says Tosfos. For Garsina lekaman amar Rav Yosef. The high didan. So Rav Yosef says later, our wine afilu shagra kashale. So Rav Yosef is now coming again. Rav Yosef is a late Amoira, and he's saying that our wine, even a candle, is bad for it. Kloimar hevel the shagra. It's the heat of the shagra. So now Tosfos is saying there's the shinoi mitzias, that the heat is bad for wine, which fits into our wine today. The heat is bad for it. So Rav Yosef says even the heat of a candle is bad for a wine. For Lord Garcia and Kutra to shagra, because there's a girsa that's the smoke of the candle is bad for the wine. But Tosfos is saying that was never the point here. Is that it's the heat is because he's saying that the heat is mashbiach in the time of the Tanayim, and therefore Rav Yosef is saying the heat to our wine is not mashbiach. But Ashan, you can't have the kutra being the smoke, you can't have that because the kutra was never mashbiach the yain. So therefore, you're not going to say that, well, our wine, the smoke is bad for it. No, the smoke's always bad for wine. So don't Gairis kutra there, because it doesn't make sense. But haleka oitzer avid, so it's mutter to be samech if there's no oitzer. Hi matzi l'shenuye hu adin kileka lo samech. So just like all the other times, we could also said like a mashlan de have la kashala oitzer. So Tosfos here is saying we've got two. The reason that Rava flips everything and saying dira shiny, but he could have just given the same type of teretz we've had up to this point, which is that. No, also, even if there isn't, it's also bad. We're coming to tell you the same we've had before. So, but Rava here again is Maida in this Dira Shiny. So that Dira Shiny is saying that in any case that you have a Dira, you're allowed to be Soimech, and you don't have to be Makatzer, your Tashmish of your own Dira, in order to not to be Mazik. So we have again all these kulas in Rava, and he's not. And it was so really him. There's very few cases of nafkamina between Rava and Abaye. I mean, even according to Tosfos, we saw yesterday Tosfos had that again. If it has to be giri delay. If it's not giri delay, he's matter, and it's only by bor. But all the other meforshim, we'll see this later. Will still hold that dira shiny by Rava is still a heter. So you can be soimech if it's a dira. So now dikanami dikatani Allah im hayasarefet bakar kotemes laoitzer mutter. Now that's the end of the raya. So the raya that dir is shiny is because you see there later in the Mishnah it says im hayasarefet bakar kotemes laoitzer mutter, that if the racket came before the oitzer it's mutter. Now if you have a look at the Tosfos, who will explain basically what the raya is. Ubakuluhu, and all of them are hakas de matnisa and lotani. So all the mishnahs we've had up to now, we don't have the case. Well, if the bor isn't there, you have to be 3 from the bor, and if the bor is not there, then you can be somech. It doesn't say that. Lotani hachi. We don't say that if it's not there, then you can be somech. The have leilishmina b'shar. And we should have taught it in the other cases. So by the bore, if there's no other bore there, then I can be soimech. And if there's no tree there, if there's no koisel there, then I can bring my gefes and I can be soimech. And kol shechem bedira, and then I would know kol shechem bedira. And in a sense, dira shani, since if I'm not restricted in my field, then kol shechem I won't be restricted in my dira. So therefore, teach me the other cases. I don't know kol shechem bedira. So elamai. Elamai, you're teaching me davka in the case of dira because it's dira only the dira. Only dira is where you're allowed to be soimech, and all the other places you can't be soimech, and therefore you had a raya for rava. And Tosis later on says that it's this Tosis here, dikanami dikatani, baya lo kasha. Should be a kasha and a baya, but it's not a kasha and a baya. Why hi dika? Why the lo mashmaleshi he chidish b'shar tefei mi bedira. So baya doesn't have the chilek between dira and the other case, and if you just need to teach me anywhere, and I will learn to all the other cases. There's no chidish one over the other. Now Tosis has a kasha here, v'tema, that really the oilam b'shar ha'hakaznami. Maybe even though it's teaching me davka by the dira here and the bakery, that other places are also mutter lismoch. So why did it specifically teach me by the bakery? To teach me a chiddush, that afol gav da have a giri delay, even though that the bakery is giri delay because you make a fire every day. There's a new fire every day, so therefore it's a high level of hezek, giri delay. So that's the case of imhaisa kodemes la oitzer mutter. Even that case of a giri delay, where there's no nizak with giri delay, you're able to, if the oitzer comes first, it's mutter. Tahashta havi chirish afila le Rebbe Yossi. So now we're teaching it here because it's a case of giri delay, and therefore it's a chiddush for Rebbe Yossi. But if I taught it in the other case, if I taught it by bor or kosel, lo havi chiddush el rabbanim, but only a chiddush for rabbanim about Rebbe Yossi, who holds ala nizak laharchik, lo havi shum chiddush. There wouldn't be any chiddush there because Rebbe Yossi holds it by it's on the nizak laharchik when there isn't any giri delay than the other cases. So therefore here we're davka teaching here. So this is a kash and taisus that how can I learn it out from here to the other cases that it's not, because maybe this is a bigger chiddush here that I'm teaching it like Rebbe Yossi and not like here there's a chiddush for Rebbe Yossi. If I learned it in the other cases, then it would not be a chiddush for Rebbe Yossi because it's not giri delay. So the Marsha holds here as the question, Velekele, don't give the answer. Well, Mikom, why don't we learn it by bor? Gotta learn it by bor because that's giri delay according to Rebbe Yossi. So I should have learned it in bor, which is giri delay there, and then I could learn. So that's why. So I see that dira shiny because I taught it by dira. Just like so, Toisa says in the Reish Perek that's giri delay according to Rebbe Yossi. So Marsha answers, we don't say over there in the bor, we only say this according to Rava, that's a case of giri delay according to Rava. Aval Abaye de Kaimin Haka Ka'aminan Deleka Diuka Delisle Haksvara. Since over here we're holding by Abaye here, and therefore he doesn't have that diuk of the bor over there. The bor have a giri delay, that's only according to Rava, but not according to Abaye. So Marsha is saying that in this tema, this is all going like Abaye, where the kaimin and haka, this is we're holding la bay kaimin haka. This thing kamrin and deleka diuka. So we're saying that there's no diuk. It's all in shitas Abaye. So that the second part of this tema will go according to Abaye. So they say that to seemingly refute the teres of Rava. So Rava will use this dayak in order to have a proof for his shita, because he holds that it's giri delay for all the cases. But Abaye doesn't, so this tema will go in like Abaye according to the Marsha here. So you can't say that because Valabaye kaimin haka kamrin and deleka diuka. So we're saying there's no diuk according to Abaye. So imhaya refes boker was in the diuk. But who adin chanot nach tomin b'shel tzevoim. So it says one of them and it means all three of them. So next, Tashema. Lo yita adam ilan samach l'sadeh elim kein harchek me'enu dalad amos. So you can't plant a tree close to the field unless you distance the 4 amos. V'tani ala dalad amos amru kedei avodas kerem. Why do you need to distance your tree 4 amos from the meitzar? Because of avodas kerem. Because you need space to drive your carbon harvester down there. And if your tree goes all the way up to the meitzar, then your tractors are going to go into the other guy's field. So therefore, that's why you have to distance your tree. Taima mishum kedei avodas kerem. That's because of the avodas kerem. Halav mishum kedei avodas kerem samech. So you are allowed to be soimech if your tree if there's no avodas kerem. Yefogav di kasharshin de kamazki. Even though that there's the roots are being mazik. So that's the kasha on Rava again. Hakamaskina and mafsik tzumna. Tzumma. So tzumna is rocky ground. So v'tani ele daladama shomru kedei avodas kerem havilei lemikad kedei avodas ilan. It should be. Why is it saying avodas kerem? You're gonna have to work the tree. Ele naked avodas kerem lefi shenizkar loshin zeb and mesekhet klaim gavid kerem shetzarach rachachet daladamas. He's saying it's going like the Mishnah. It's the same nusach as the Mishnah over there is. Now we have a bit of a problem here. Because we're asking, this is a kasha and Rava, yeah? Why you like to be soimech here? And he answers, because it's tzumna. Tzumna is that it's a rocky ground, and since it's rocky ground, there is no mazik. And that the roots aren't going to go down and go out. So, according to Tosfos, Rava's only moida where it's giri delay. The tree is the exact case of Rabbi Yossi saying not giri delay. The afol gav to ika sharshin to kamazki. What are these shars? They're kamazki. They're not giri delay. So therefore, why is this a kasha on Rava? And the Pnei Shlomo Sham Tamim Misham Avodas Kerem the Cher Tzarachian Dilma Atik Rabbi Yossi De Lo Aser Eila Begiri delay. Maybe this is going like he's saying like this Mishnah is going like giri delay. Because then you have the Mishnah. Who's this Mishnah like? I think Tosfos is saying the Mishnah is like Rabbi Yossi. Because the Avodas Kerem is biad. You're driving your tractor through his field. That's giri delay. Now he just ends it off the Yud Lamed V'Duk. Now here the Yud Lamed is V'Yesh Liyashev. It's a teretz. Here it gives you a list of Yesh Lomer and V'Yesh Lahakshot. It's also V'Yesh Liyashev. Then Dayak V'Timtzakal. So he doesn't give an answer. He addresses the issue and just says, yeah, there's what to answer. Maybe over there's some reason to say why this Mishnah is more compelling to be the Rabban and not Rabbi Yossi there. Taima misham avodas kerem, belav hai diuk matzi lemifrach bepshitus. Because without the diuk, you could ask straightforward. Desagi berharkas abra amos. It's just enough for 4. Ve'iyaser lismoch hayetzarech laharchik 25 amos. Yeah, so why? Because the tree has to be 25 away. Kedetan lekaman shemarchikin esa'ila min a bor 25 amos. Because if I learn the 25, so the 25 is all the way over on the other side of the field. So I would think that I can't be soimech. Maybe I can be soimech something less than 25, but they prefer to show that you can be soimech all the way even 4. So 4 is not so again. So like if you're saying soimech. It's not just soimach less than 25. No, soimach even up to 4. So if it's sumna, why do I need the daladamos? Pshita shechus letzumna lo yerchush. What are you doing? Plowing the other side of the rocky ground. Shelo yu'il klom leilan. You're going to help the tree at all. Yishlomer kashachirish ad hat sumna. You're going all the way up to the rocky ground. V'yirtze lehapuch marchisha, then you need to turn around your marchisha tzadachar hamarchisha yichanes tzadach havero. So it's like you need a turning phase, like a ship at sea. It needs time to turn. Hayu shorshav yoitzin im tema heich somach. How are you soimach? Ishalo barushus im kein yakutz. So the din is that if you plant the tree shalol, so you've planted the tree right beside the bore. If there's it says the shorts are coming out and be mazik, and if you did it without rishos, so therefore you can cut the tree. B'tzarach lo'okmei b'lokeach. So you have the lokeach later on in the Gemara, where one buys it from the other. So therefore, that's the Tosfos' first teretz. The Ritzba ein nira la'amid b'lokeach. Midlo masik la'kadu somak. So later on, we're going to say it's lokeach. But here we don't say lokeach, therefore it's not lokeach. Elanira de Mairi besomach shalo barushus. He did a shalo rushus. The Eina koitzes ha'ilan eileben tinas domim. It says that you can cut the tree if you pay the guy. Ubezel lo ratz laharech v'halashminu. That here we're talking about a case basically he doesn't want to pay him, or if he wants to pay him, he has to cut the tree. He doesn't want to deal with the whole thing, or he just doesn't want to pay the guy. So therefore, he can keep the tree there. So hayageter beinenim zeh somach legeter mikan v'zeh somach legeter mikan. Ihachi emaseifa. What's the so that takes us up to the Tashma Marchikin as a Mishram and a Yerek and all this. So this is the case of the Chardal and the bees, and we'll see how it goes.